Unpopular opinion. Goblin dragged too long and lost its spark halfway. I still remember the hype. When Goblin first dropped, it felt like every K-drama fan in the world hit pause on their life just to binge watch it. The cinematography? Breathtaking. The cast? Legendary. Gong Yu's charisma? Unmatched. And let's not even start on Grim Reaper and Sunny's chemistry. We were hooked from episode 1. The first few episodes? Absolute gold. That perfect blend of mystery, fantasy, and aching romance. I thought I was watching something divine. But then somewhere around episode 8 or 9 something happened. The story started to stretch. Plot lines that felt urgent at the beginning suddenly became slow and repetitive. We spent so much time on poetic metaphors, recycled flashbacks, and characters staring into the distance with sad music playing. Yes, it was beautiful, but at some point I didn't know why they were staring anymore. And don't get me wrong, I love a slow burn. But this was an eternal flame with no clear direction. The mythos, goblins, grim reapers, reincarnations started getting so layered. It felt like I needed a chart to keep track of who remembered what life, who cursed whom, and how exactly someone could come back from the dead 3 different ways. I found myself rewinding scenes to understand what was going on, not because it was deep, but because it was confusing. The central romance between Kim Shin and Ji Eun-tak. Magical at first, but then it hit this emotional loop.
Cry.
Confess. Vanish. Return. Cry again. And by episode 12, I was wondering, where are we going with this? Some fans say, you just didn't get it. But maybe I did, and maybe I also got tired of waiting for the story to pick up again. I'm not saying Goblin was bad, no way. It had some of the most iconic moments in K-drama history. But I am saying this. For a drama about immortals, it didn't need to feel like it was dragging into eternity. The truth is, I wanted to love Goblin all the way through. I wanted every episode to keep me wide-eyed like it did at the start. I mean, the beginning was pure magic, a sword stuck in the goblin's chest, the fated bride who could pull it out, a moody immortal who's been walking through centuries with a heavy heart. And let's not lie, the setup was perfection. The contrast between the Goblin and the Grim Reaper? Hilarious. Ji Eun-tak's brightness versus Kim Shin's gloom? Beautiful. The music? Soul-stirring. It felt like watching poetry unfold in motion. But then it just kept unfolding. Like someone who told a joke, got a laugh, and then kept explaining it for another 5 minutes. Episodes that could have been tight and powerful started dragging. I caught myself asking, wait, haven't we already seen this scene 3 times but from different angles? Every time I thought we'd finally move forward, another flashback took us 2 steps back. And don't even get me started on reincarnation logic. So, Sunny and the Grim Reaper were lovers in a past life, but they don't know it. Except sometimes they do know it. And Eun-tak was fated, but not really fated. And Kim Shin dies, but doesn't. Then he disappears into nothing, only to come back and then disappear again? Confused? Yeah, me too. The show felt like it was trying to be too many things at once. A tragic romance, a fantasy epic, a time travel mystery, a redemption arc, a commentary on life and death, and while each part was beautiful on its own, together, it became a tangled web of metaphors and long stares with soft piano music in the background. I started zoning out. Literally. One moment I'm crying at a death scene, the next I'm staring at the wall like, wait, what even is the main conflict anymore? The tension that gripped us in the early episodes, that urgency, that fear of fate, it just fizzled out. Like a flame that burned too long and lost its heat. I remember getting to episode 13 and thinking, are we done yet? But we weren't. We still had episodes to go. More staring, more dying, more coming back, more poetic dialogue that sounded deep, but didn't always say much. The characters started becoming symbols instead of real people. And the emotions? They were still there, but they didn't hit the same anymore. I felt more tired than touched. And that's the saddest part. Because Goblin had all the tools to be one of the greatest dramas ever made. In fact, in some ways, it still is. The visuals, the OST, the legendary cast. the epic ambition. But sometimes, a less is more. Sometimes, a love story doesn't need 15 episodes and 5 timelines to leave an impact. Sometimes, mystery becomes muddled when you stretch it too thin. I wish Goblin had trusted itself to be simple, to be sharp, to be bold enough to say, "We've said enough." But instead, it kept going. And somewhere along the way, it lost me. Still, I get why people love it. I respect that. For many, Goblin was an emotional masterpiece, a spiritual journey, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And maybe that's what makes this opinion so unpopular. Because it wasn't a bad show. It was just too much of a good thing. And sometimes, too much light can blur the beauty of a single flame. And before you come for me, I said what I said. But if you disagree, the comments are open. Let's debate.